Hello, this is Bill Gallagher with Straight Talk. We've spent a few sessions here recently talking about avoiding burnout in the workplace. Or another way to put it would be to balance your personal and professional life. I'd like to just use an illustration today that was given by a business class professor at a college as he was ready to send out his young professionals into the workplace. And hopefully it's an illustration that you will never forget. What the professor did was he had a table set up in front of his class, and he had two jars. The full jar had, as you can see, sand or gravel filling up to about a third of the particular jar. And then these larger rocks, river rock, 2-inch rocks, were on top of that sand and gravel and burst over the top, ready to fall onto the table. It was fuller than full. And then he asked his class this question. He said, "Can I get any more gravel or rock in this particular jar without rocks falling out of the jar?" And they said, no way, there's no way you could do that. He goes, "Well, let me show you this." So he poured out all of the sand and the gravel. He poured out all of the rock. Then in the second jar, he put all of the rock in first, and then poured the remaining sand and gravel down through the rocks, and there was actually more room left below the top of the jar. And his point was this: the reason we couldn't get any more activity or rock or sand in the first jar is because that refers to all of the urgencies of our life and in the workplace. The emails, the phone calls to return later, the interruptions, the being asked to do a different project rather than completing the one that you were hoping to do that day. It's the urgent matters of the workplace and of our life, for that matter, that keep pulling us away from the other jar, which we call is the vital jar. Our key priorities. Why did your company hire you to begin with? What was it that you thought would be the most important thing if you were to have a family or children or anything along those lines relationally? The vital jar, as you can see, all of the rocks that represent what's most vital in your life and in your workplace were put into the jar first as priority. And then the sand and the gravel representing what are the urgencies of life, the things that are not priorities. They're generally more nuisances or, as I said, interruptions. If you put that into the priority jar of your life secondarily, you'll see there's enough room to get it all in, because the sand and the gravel fall down through the rocks of the jar. And so then the professor said to his business class, he said, in order to be successful in the workplace, you have to have several things in order, but one of the primary aspects of professional success in the workplace is to have your priorities right. The things that are the most important at your work or in your home or in your personal life are what's vital you can't work or live successfully without those pieces to your life. And he cautioned his class then to be very, very skeptical and very particular about the other things that they allow in the workplace that would pull them away from their priorities at work, or that pull them away from their priorities at home. And what we find, one of the causes for exhaustion and burnout in your personal life, in your workplace profession, is for our priorities to get out of whack. Once the priorities get out of whack, things start falling off from your performance and your relationships. And I thought this is the most profound lesson to give to a group of future businessmen and women so they get it right from the very beginning. If you want to have a life that is ordered and balanced, then have the right priorities in the right jar and order of importance. What is vital matters most. It's the urgent things that we need to find time and space for. And on a very practical note, before I go, for one man, the way it worked for him to distinguish between what was most important or secondarily important was he would leave the job at 5. And what he started to do was ending his hours of engagement or whatever his project might be at 4. And the last hour he spent returning emails, talking to the person in the cubicle next to him, responding to the phone calls that came in. And he refused to allow those incidental things to pull him away from his projects. And the interesting thing is, once he got organized, he got more done in 8 hours than he previously was forced to do in 12 because his priorities were right. This has been Bill Gallagher with Straight Talk. I trust that you like this and subscribe to this. And by the way, in the coming months, we're going to have our second online training that can be purchased by organizations and individuals. And it's going to be on this very subject matter, avoiding burnout in the workplace by balancing and re-engineering your priorities in life. We'll be in touch with you. Thank you very much.